Timgad. The forgotten city Timgad or Timgad, located in modern-day northeast Algeria, in the Ouras Mountains, was a Roman military colony built around 100 AD, in the province of Numidia, during the time of Emperor Trajan. It was mostly inhabited by Roman legions and their families. The full name of the colony was Colonia Marciana Ulpia Traiana Timgad, Marciana, being the name of Emperor Trajan's sister, Ulpia, from Ulpius his father's middle name, and Timgad, being probably the native name of the region where the town was built. However, there seems to be no indication of a previous settlement by the native Amazi at that specific location. Emperor Trajan ordered the military colony to be built following a strict grid scheme inside a square wall. It was part of his plan to strengthen and extend Roman rule over 3 continents. With the growth of its population, however, buildings will burst out into the surrounding area, and the geometric planning of streets and constructions became less strict. The first residents of the colony were veterans of the war with Parthia, modern-day Iran, as a reward for their years of service. The town's main purposes were the defense against raids from the south, and the protection of grain transport, vital for the food security of Rome. Due to its good state of preservation until today, the city was nicknamed the Pompeii of North Africa. Its oldest buildings are situated inside the square encircling wall. They include the 12-meter-high Arch of Trajan, built in the 3rd century AD, a forum, a market, a large theatre that can host up to 2,500 persons and was built in the 2nd century AD, and a temple dedicated to Ceres, goddess of agriculture. One can still observe the system of water distribution, for irrigation, bathing and drinking, as well as public toilets. There are also the remains of a public library built with a donation from Senator Marcus Rogationus. Outside the walls of the city, a capitol was dedicated to the divine trio Jupiter, Juno and Minerva. Olive presses have also been found in the town, although not a single olive tree remained in the area when it was rediscovered. Tanning leather was another major economic activity in Timgad. These tasks, which involved soaking animal skins in urine collected from public urinals, were performed by slaves. Timgad remained prosperous for many centuries, as a cultural and agricultural center, and was thus a constant target for raids from non-Romanized or partially Romanized Amazi tribes of the Ouras. It became an important Christian center in the 3rd century AD, with a peak population of 15,000. Then a century later the inhabitants converted to Donatism, with Bishop Optatus of Timgad as the spokesperson of the Donatist heresy. At one point, both the old Roman gods and the new Christian god were worshipped simultaneously in its premises. After being sacked by the Vandals in the V century AD, the city's defenses will be weakened, and it will never recover its splendor. The Eastern Romans Byzantine reconquered it in the V century, and Byzantine general Solomon claimed that it was empty when he arrived. It will be repopulated only briefly within the next decades, then sacked again by Amazi tribes. It was abandoned sometime between 700 and 800 AD, before or during the Islamic invasions. As time passed, Timgad was buried under the sand and its location was lost. In 1765, Scottish explorer, and former consul to Algiers, James Bruce set out on an adventure with a friend to find Roman ruins in Algeria, a region whose ancient history he was familiar with. He eventually found ruins of what he identified as the town of Timgad, uncovered some of the buildings and statues from sand, and made a sketch of the Arch of Trajan. On his return to England, his discovery was met with skepticism, and he died never having received his due recognition. He had compiled all the accounts of his adventures in his book, Travels to Discover the Source of the Nile, which was published in 1790. The recognition will come about a century later with another British consul. Robert Playfair will revisit Timgad and make a better description of its monuments in his book, Travels in the Footsteps of Bruce in Algeria and Tunis. Excavations will start in 1881, and the walls of a city that was forgotten for more than 1,000 years will once more embrace the desert breeze.